As prominent legal figures in South Carolina's Lowcountry since 1920, the family is a well-known fixture in 5 coastal counties. As the most powerful family in South Carolina, the area was sometimes called Murdaugh Country. However, good things come to an end, especially when fraud is involved. Life for Alex Murdaugh went downhill quickly, beginning with the death of their housekeeper, Gloria Satterfield, in February of 2018. Gloria died in a tragic trip and fall accident while working in the Murdaugh home. A wrongful death claim was filed against Murdaugh on behalf of Gloria's estate to the tune of $500,000. Despite the claim being settled, Gloria's family has yet to see a dime. Gloria's death was only the beginning of the Murdaugh family trouble. Alex became the target of a police investigation when his story about Gloria's death didn't make sense to law enforcement. Investigations showed inconsistencies, like how the death was not reported to the coroner when it should have been. Not only that, but nobody ever performed an autopsy, which is not consistent with protocol when someone trips and falls. The death was ruled natural, which is also a big no-no for accidental death. How did the family become so legally powerful? There are a few key players here. To start, Randy Murdaugh began a one-man law firm in 1910. After 10 years of hard work, he became the DA in 1920, starting the legal dynasty. Randy's son, Randy Buster Murdaugh, was elected DA after his father in 1940. He only ran opposed 2 times in the 46 years he served. Finally, Buster's son, Randy Murdaugh III, took over the family tradition and ran unopposed until 2006 when Duffy Stone dethroned him. On the other hand, Alex never sat as a DA in the county, but that doesn't mean he wasn't a well-known fixture in the community, which allowed certain privileges. That's real power of attorney. Alex's children, Paul and Buster, are the most recent generation of Murdaugh men, and they are no stranger to the preferential treatment. A striking example of this is a boating accident involving Paul when he was 20 years old. In February 2019, Paul was involved in a boating accident that resulted in the death of Mallory Beach. Paul was charged with 3 felonies for this accident. The proper procedure would be to conduct a field sobriety test and then take the offender to jail in a standard case. Of course, Paul's case was far from standard. No sobriety test was ever done. In fact, he was never even handcuffed. The special treatment didn't stop there. Paul was not required to wear an alcohol monitor, which is common practice for someone who blows almost 3 times the legal limit for operating a motor vehicle. As of September 2021, investigations have been conducted to look into the allegations that Paul was not charged due to pressure on law enforcement to hold off charging him. During this investigation, Paul was free on bail and attending college while he awaited his trial. However, that trial would never happen. The Murdaugh family has continued to experience tragedy. While dealing with legal trouble and worried for their son Paul, Alex came home to another devastating situation one day. On June 7, 2021, Alex calls 911 and the report seems impossible to believe. His wife Margaret and son Paul were shot dead outside the family's home. Alex's brothers have gone on record saying that Alex was distraught. He loved his family and that there was no way he was involved in their murders. So the question remains, who could it have been? Alex was desperate to find out, so he and his other son, Buster, offered a $100,000 reward for anyone who could help with information. Speculation surrounded the murders and the high-profile family. Could Alex have made enemies in his law career? Further investigation revealed that Alex was involved in illegal substances, so some people asked if he might owe money to dealers who came to collect. If that wasn't enough, Alex then had to resign from the law firm because he misappropriated law firm funds. While fellow lawyers at the firm were shocked, Alex was reported to be going to rehab to work through a prescription medication addiction. As prosecutors dug into Alex's financial records, they found millions in misappropriated and outright stolen funds that belonged to his clients. They believe millions more are hidden away, and only Alex knows where it is. The mysteries surrounding the Murdaugh family continue to grow with every fact uncovered by investigators. Alex, not sure what to do next, came up with a plan. He needed to leave Buster in the best situation possible after the tragic deaths of his mother and brother. However, Alex's mounting legal problems would most likely deplete the family savings. Alex decided to take his own life so that Buster could cash in on a $10 million life insurance payout. However, Alex couldn't risk the policy being withheld due to suicide, so he had to make it look like another tragedy. So Alex hatched his plan. According to Alex's report, he pulled over to check a tire with low air. A concerned citizen stopped by to ask him if he was having trouble with his car and needed help. Then the stranger shot Alex out of nowhere, grazing him in the head before fleeing the scene. A manhunt ensued. As far as the police were concerned, someone or some group was after the Murdaugh family. However, once they found Alex's shooter, they discovered that Alex's story wasn't entirely true. Curtis Edward Smith, the man who shot Alex, was in cahoots with Alex himself. Alex gave Curtis the gun and told him to shoot him in the head. Like the villain in an action movie, Alex revealed his entire plan to Curtis before the shooting. The bullet was meant to kill Alex. However, as fate would have it, Alex survived and was able to call 911. Did he have a change of heart after coming face to face with death? Smith was then charged, according to authorities, with multiple charges, including assisted suicide, conspiracy to commit insurance fraud, pointing and presenting a firearm, and assault and battery of a high and aggravated nature. Alex is listed as a co-defendant in the charges against Smith. However, no charges have been levied against Alex other than filing a false police report. Once the botched attempt came to light, questions emerged around Alex and Smith's connection and how they came to know each other. Research showed that Smith was charged in 2013 for a speeding case, and the court records showed that Alex was his lawyer. After his botched suicide attempt and being fired from his law firm, Alex decided to check himself into a rehab facility. At one point, Alex believed his only option was to end his own life. However, rehab and getting off prescription medications may have convinced him otherwise. Alex believed his addictions was being fed and taken advantage of for more than 2 decades. He also blamed Smith for taking advantage of his vulnerable state. He believed that Smith only agreed to the fraud because he was addicted to medication. Despite this claim by Alex, it is unclear how Smith was to benefit from the whole situation. Once Alex's shady doings were brought to light, investigators looked deeper into him and the previous incidents surrounding him. Evidence mounted against the disgraced attorney as they dug into the background of Alex and Maggie's marriage. About 6 weeks before she was killed outside her home, Maggie met with a divorce lawyer in another city. While there's not much known about what Maggie was looking for, it was reported that she dug into her family finances to see what would happen if she left Alex. Additionally, those who knew Maggie always described her as being loyal to her sons above all else. They described her as having no real say in her family and that, at the end of the day, she only focused on her boys. People even said that they didn't think she had any way out of the relationship or her situation. Nothing has been uncovered definitively about what happened to Maggie and Paul. Still, the light shining on Alex began to uncover more problems for the family, the surviving members, and those who passed. The many mysterious deaths surrounding the family began to be looked at with a different lens. This is why Paul's boating case was being looked at again, calling into question the work from the police force and whether or not they were pressured not to pursue the case. He pleaded not guilty to his charges and was waiting for his trial at the time of his passing. This was not the only case that earned a closer look. A teenager named Stephen Smith was discovered in 2015. He'd passed away in the middle of a rural road. He had run out of gas and was 3 miles away from his car when he was found. Police believed Stephen was shot in the beginning, but later they ruled it as a hit and run. The connection to Alex remains unclear, but police found something after looking into the Murdaugh murders that forced them to reopen the Smith case. What that something is has yet to be revealed, as the case is ongoing and active. The only thing we know, as the public, is that Alex's name came up multiple times in interviews that were conducted with Smith's friends and family. However, no member of the Murdaugh family was officially implicated in Smith's death. The Smith family has been on record multiple times describing that they just wanted to know what happened to Stephen. Alex's lawyers continue to maintain the idea that he is fully cooperating with the investigation of his own shooting, the murder of his wife and son, and the financial crisis going on in his law firm. With the high-profile ties between the Murdaugh family and South Carolina law enforcement, or SLED, many people believe they are likely protecting Alex. People familiar with the details wonder if they are not looking deeper because of who he is. Their claims are substantiated by Paul's boating accident and the lack of investigative effort that went into it. However, Chief Mark Keel has been referred to as a straight arrow and as someone who doesn't give preferential treatment. Long-term South Carolina lawmakers have spoken on behalf of Keel and described him as wanting to have an airtight case before he names a suspect. Alex's surviving son, Buster, hasn't come out to make a statement publicly. He's remained out of the public spotlight, only ever staying at the family home. However, someone spotted him at the Venetian Casino in Las Vegas in October 2021. After everything his family's been through, Buster Murdaugh probably deserves a weekend getaway in Las Vegas. Alex did turn over all his affairs to Buster, leaving the lone survivor as the sole owner of the Murdaugh fortune. Meanwhile, Alex continues through the legal gauntlet as prosecutors look into the mismanaged law firm funds and the money rightfully owed to Gloria Satterfield's family. Click here to watch one of these next videos. Let us know in the comments, would you rather have $10 million and be miserable every day, or be broke and happy?